Hi, welcome to At Home with Rach. Today I've decided to share with you a new playlist that I've decided to do of cooking and baking. And I'm going to try to do 4 different recipes. I'm going to do a banana nut muffin, a stuffed crust pizza, because that's what we're eating for dinner tonight. And then I need to make some homemade bread. And I decided to make some muffins first because my daughters are in 4-H, and this whole weekend they are super busy with the rabbits and different exhibits. So waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning is pretty early. You can't really decide on when you want to eat. So I thought homemade muffins would be great. Okay, pause it. All right, for the banana nut muffins, the temperature needs to be set at 350. And since I've got a double oven, I've got my second oven set to 425 for the pizza crust. So I'm going to gather up my ingredients for the muffins and we'll get started. Okay, so I've pulled out all of my ingredients. Some of them are measured out to what I need them at. I'm tripling the recipe because I've got a lot of bananas I want to process. And I have a lot of frozen bananas already, so I don't need to do that. So it says to spray the muffin tin with oil and set aside. I'll do that later. But you'll want a large mixing bowl. You don't have to have a KitchenAid to do this, but you'll mix to combine. We're going to first beat the eggs, so I need 3 eggs. And I'll put the original recipe down in the description box so that you'll have, a 1 serving recipe instead of triple. I grew up on banana bread. It's one of my favorites. I tried to find the recipe that my mother always made, and I believe it was her mom's recipe. I don't know where she got that from, but yeah, we'll do the vanilla. So it was 3 eggs, and then vanilla we need 3 teaspoons. So I make my own vanilla, and this is vodka. I think, isn't it 80% or 80 proof, whatever it's called? Something like that. And I scored the vanilla beans and then just threw them in, and then I let it sit for 6 months. I think you only have to wait for 3 months, but I doubled it because I wanted a stronger vanilla taste. So I'm just adding 3 teaspoons of vanilla. But I've read that bourbon and rum are really good for making vanilla as well. So I'll try that after I use this up. And this will probably take me about a year to use. Okay, I need to melt my butter. So I've got my 3/4 cup. And it says to melt it. So hopefully it'll take 30 seconds and we'll be good. So after the vanilla, we add the brown sugar, which is 3/4 cup, tripling. That is the triple. Sorry. Do you guys enjoy banana bread? Do you eat it with nuts? Don't eat it with nuts? My father-in-law loves it so that it's not completely cooked. So he has like the middle part raw. He really likes it that way. I kind of like it that way too, where it's a little undercooked. But not completely undercooked. I like mine almost. That was 2. Third serving. And then I'll check the butter to see if that's good. My mom's recipe has Crisco, and I think that's the only thing I use Crisco in. That butter is definitely not ready, so we'll just add another 30 seconds to see if that's good. Okay. So this one's a little different. They want me to mash the bananas, melt the butter, and add the milk to a large mixing bowl. But I'm going to throw it all together after I cream the butters and the sugar and the eggs and vanilla, of course. Here we go. You come get a closer look. butter. Woo. Really slippery with that oil on there. Okay. Now it's a half a cup of white sugar, and since I'm tripling it, it's going to be 1.5. I almost, like, oh shoot, I screwed up. I also like to add in chocolate chips with my banana bread sometimes, or my banana muffins. Okay, I'm going to speed this up. It's going to get really loud. Okay, so my husband just pointed out that I said the measurement wrong for the brown sugar. It's not 3/4 cup because the original measurement is a half a cup, and I'm tripling it, so it's 1.5 cups. 1.5 cups of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of white sugar. I'm now going to add my milk, which is 3/4 cup. That's my triple amount. And then, let's see what's next. We've got, I'm omitting the salt because my butter has salt in it, and I just don't want that extra salt in there. But I do need the soda. So it's 1 teaspoon, so I'm going to triple that to 3 teaspoons. Something I learned about baking soda is that it absorbs metals out of your body. So some people will drink a teaspoon a day in their water or juice or whatever. I found that interesting because when I was going through cancer treatments as a little girl, I had radiation treatments, and that would have been good to have that knowledge because radiation puts that in your body, and the baking soda would have absorbed the damage that it did, some of the damage at least. So that's just a tip I wish I would have had when I was younger. Okay, so I put in 3 teaspoons of baking soda, so now I'm going to put in, it says 2 cups flour, so I need 6. And this can get crazy because sometimes I lose track really easy. Bring that down. Going to add it in slowly so we don't get a lot of lumps in there. You know, I should have probably, I'll add it in later. That's 3, right? See, I told you. I lose track. This will get interesting here. 4. Speed that up. 5. So glad my husband's here to keep track for me. Last cup. 100 closer. It's a little thick right now, but with the bananas, it will equal out and balance the moistness. So I'm just going to start throwing them in. Normally I like to smash my bananas with a fork. I think the texture is a lot better, but I don't have time for that tonight. Got so much I gotta make. but it'll make really good banana bread. I think what I'm going to do is do half the batch with chocolate chips and the other half without chocolate chips. And I buy organic bananas because the regular, well, I guess not regular, but the bananas that are not organic, they just hurt my stomach. And they hurt my kids' stomachs too, so we have opted for, we know that bananas are just not an option to skimp by. Alright, I will be back when I get all these bananas mixed in. Okay, so we just got done mixing up the ingredients. If you don't want your banana peels to go to waste, you can put them in a jar and you fill it up with water, let it sit for 24 hours, and then I take a bowl, put a strainer in the bowl, and dump out everything. And then you use the juice for watering your plants. It's a good fertilizer. It gives them potassium and magnesium, and probably nitrate, or nitrogen, or whatever. So there's that. Okay. So, because I'm adding walnuts, it calls for 1 cup, but I need 3 cups. And I don't know if I'm going to get all 3 cups. We're just gonna do this whole bag. I want to measure out there to see how much is in here. Probably a cup and a half, I guess. About a cup. No, a little over there. What was that?
Cup and a half?
I think so. Cup and a half and about a quarter, so cup 3/4. That's okay, we can go light on the walnuts. Now I have these chocolate chips. They're called Lily's and they're made with stevia, so they're less sugar. It's a more of a bitter, chocolate bitter taste. They're healthier. I also have these, which I keep in the freezer because when I remember they're there, I snack on them because they're a sweeter chocolate. I'm gonna mix. Well, actually, I should keep. I have a daughter that does not like chocolate, so I'm gonna do half a batch of the nut with no chocolate. Also, off camera, because I didn't smash the bananas with a fork, they're really chunky in here, so I went with a fork and tried to smash it up. So there are bigger chunks of banana than like normal banana bread. That's okay. We're gonna roll with it because we need to.
Do you want the muffin pan?
I do. 1 second. Clean out the beater. Put this off to the side. Here's my chocolates. I'm just kind of scraping the edges to make sure I've got everything mixed in. I am gonna need, alright, that's my chocolate. I think I'm gonna use this just hopefully. So I'm only going to cook about 12 to 24 of these, and then the extra batter, I'm just going to freeze it. I have never frozen banana. Oh, you know, those are going to be humongous. banana batter. Banana muffin batter. So we'll see. I'll let you know if it works out. We'll keep them in there for a couple weeks and then pull them out and see. Man, I gotta do less. Poor judgment on my part. I'm gonna have to scoop it out. We love breakfast foods. Breakfast burritos, pancakes, German pancakes, waffles, French toast casserole, cinnamon rolls. In fact, we tried something new. I think it was last week, wasn't it? We took cooked bacon strips and then we poured pancake batter on top.
Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah, that was pretty good. We love cooking around here. And we love trying new recipes. And I've noticed sometimes you just like, it feels like even though you've cooked with the same recipe, sometimes it comes out a little different. Sometimes according to my mood, you know, or if I have to rush, if I'm stressing out, running out of time. So this is really thick, which is good. It's going to be a nice dense muffin. Fill you up. Okay, so this will be our non-chocolate batch. I want these cook, and these are supposed to cook for, let's see here. What's the secret? Oh, you're supposed to fill the pan cups to 4/5 full. Top with additional nuts if you desire. Place the pan in a preheated oven and bake it for 18 to 20 minutes or until toothpick inserted in the center of the muffin comes out clean. Then you remove it from your oven, let it cool for at least 5-10 minutes before serving. All right, into the oven we shall go. All right, so I need to use my KitchenAid for the pizza dough. So I took 12 more scoops and stuck it in this bowl so that I could mix in the chocolate chips and then put the rest in the bowl. In about 5 minutes, 8 minutes, I will take 12 more scoops, make 12 muffins, and then I'm going to freeze these in different Ziploc bags. But let's move on to our homemade stuffed crust pizza. Okay, so pizza is everybody's one of the top favorite foods here in our family. We eat it every Friday. And we've been doing this for years, since the girls were little. I used to work for Pizza Hut for 4 years. And yeah, I got sick of it after, I think, the 3rd year, and I had to take a break, but this is not a Pizza Hut recipe though. I just adapted because we like stuffed crust. So I'm going to take a cup of flour first, and I'm doubling it, so I'm going to add my second cup of flour. And then I need my sugar, which says a teaspoon. I'll put 2 in. And then a teaspoon of salt, so I need 2 teaspoons of salt for my doubling. And then my yeast, which is a tablespoon, and I'm using the active dry. It's good stuff. So I'm going to add 2 of those. And then it says to mix well. We've tried different dough recipes, and this one just spreads out really easy on the pan. I really love it. So I'll link that down in the description. Well, not link it, but I'll type it out for you. I'm also looking for a thin crust recipe, but I haven't had any real luck on one that stays thin. I tried one last week. It was supposed to be thin crust, but it ended up like a hand toss style, kind of a medium. Okay, so then I have to add in my hot water. So I heated it up in the microwave. It's because it's 1 cup for the original recipe, but I'm doubling it, so 2 cups. And then I have to add my oil. It says add your oil into the water. And I need 2 tablespoons, so that's double that, that's 4. I think my ultimate favorite from Pizza Hut when I was working there in the late 90s was their triple decker. Have you guys had that one? They took a thin crust, then cheese, then thin crust, and then you put all your toppings and sauce on there. Yeah, it was amazing. Okay, so we're gonna mix in our hot water. I'm gonna double check. Okay, yep. That's in there. And now we do our egg. So it calls for 1, I'm doing 2. Another good tip for gardening, if you save your stuff, is you crack the shell. You save the shell. Sorry, you save the shell. And I wait for them to dry out. And then we smash them, and then I keep them in a mason jar. And then I just throw them out on my garden. Roses love it too. Hold on, I gotta wash my hands.
It boosts up the calcium.
Yes, boosts up the calcium. Also good for your chickens too. We haven't had chickens for a couple of years because we've moved around a lot, and our previous house was in the city, so looking for my spatula. Anyway, it was sad times not to be able to have a chicken. Have chickens for fresh eggs. But you can mix that in with their feed, and it gives them extra calcium. Okay, so while that beats for 2 minutes. Hold on, I'm going to scrape my sides because it just kind of is sitting there. It's not really wanting to come in. So are you pizza crazy lovers like us, or you just eat it once in a while? Oh, it's become a tradition. It's just pizza and a movie. And you know, rotate every week who gets to pick the movie, right? Because some kids don't want to watch what the sibling pick, so they have to wait for their week. Okay, so I'm adding, it says stir in 1 1/3 cup, 1 3/4, sorry. So I'm doubling that. So I already did 1, 2, so that would be 3 1/2, right? Alright. I hated fractions growing up. So this is why it's important to know your fractions. And then I'm going to guesstimate on my half because I don't want to dirty up another half cup. Okay. I'm just going to let that finish mixing up together. And then we just need to grease our pans. And then I'm going to roll the dough out. And then I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to add the cheese in it. Learn how to do the stuffed crust. So excited. We'll come back in just a minute. I just looked at the clock and realized it's time to get the muffins out of the oven. So we're going to do the toothpick test. Okay, it's pretty clear, so that's awesome. I'm going to let these cool for about 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to take them out, and then I'll refill these up with the chocolate chip ones and get them back in the oven. Hey, I wanted to show you how the dough's pulling away from the bowl, the sides of the bowl. That means it's ready. I also skipped a step that I needed to add in another. It says to knead a 3/4 cup of flour on a surfaced area. But I don't do that. I just let my KitchenAid do the kneading. And so because I doubled it, I added a 1.5 cups, 1.75 cups. I think it was closer to 1.75 cups of extra flour because I had missed that step. So anyway, now we're gonna put it on the pan. I'm so excited. So here's my dough. I just pull it out of the bowl. I just wanted to show you how I split it. I just kind of hold it and pinch and then twist when I feel like I've gotten pretty even. If I'm not even and one's bigger than the other, then I use the bigger one for my stuffed crust, because I make one stuffed crust usually and one non-stuffed crust, because I like my string cheese to be, I like it to stretch a little further in the month. So I'll put this one on the other pan, and then this one I'm just gonna spin around here and just stretch. And a lot of dough that I've practiced with, it's, you know, it's so elastic that it kind of bounces back. But this one doesn't really do that. So I just kind of stretch it evenly and turn it around, or spin it, and then work the areas that are kind of more inward, that need to come further out. And I like to use my fist and roll it out when I need to get it further, and then come back to the middle. You don't want your middle to be too thick. It won't cook all the way through. I also figured out a trick with my oven throughout the years that I will cook it for 8 minutes, and then I'll bring it out, and then I'll put my sauce and my toppings on, and then I'll throw it in the oven for another 8 to 9, sometimes 10 minutes. If you have more toppings, it takes a little bit longer, but if you have 1 or 2 toppings, then 8 minutes is usually good. But it also depends on your oven. Not every oven is created, or every oven is not created equally, so you just got to learn if your oven cooks hotter or if it's not. We've moved like 25, 26 times, and every oven was different. So even though we've used the same recipes, you know, depending on that 8 minutes to cook our crust just right, and then finding out the oven cooks a lot hotter, makes it a lot crispier. So kind of have to test it out if you are learning a new oven. Sometimes I will add my garlic and Italian seasoning while I'm making the dough, but there's a lot of times I sprinkle it on top because I forget. Like that nice little tip I figured out. Makes it easier, but either way is easy. Just depends on what you want to do. If you want it mixed into your crust or on top. Okay, we're almost to the edge, but I've got to get enough so that it hangs over to get my cheese. I gotta make room for the cheese. So you're just gonna get like a mozzarella string cheese, cheese sticks. We have tried the Colby ones, where it's mixed cheddar and mozzarella. If you don't want a lot of grease, I suggest going with the mozzarella. Cheddar has a lot more oil in it. I think it's the oiliest cheese out there. Or at least the ones I've tried. Okay, we're almost there. And I can feel as I'm working it, it's growing, getting a little thicker as time goes on. Okay, So I'm just going to push up against the edges to create more of a lip, because you're going to pull that lip over your cheese. We have a cat that knows when it's dinner time, and she expects to be fed the scraps. She thinks she's highly privileged in this house. Okay, let me just grab the cheese real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the string cheese out, and they come in these little packs, and they're perforated, and you just rip them off. On this size of a pizza, I believe this is probably a 14-inch, maybe a 16-inch. It takes 8 cheese sticks, and this brand that I have, it's not very bendable, so I cut them in half, and then I kind of space maybe 1 finger, and then I come across to the opposite side. Over there, and come over here, and then I can just kind of, well, you know, it might only take 7. We'll see. That took 2, and that took 2. Alright, let's see if I can squeeze this in. Kind of go around and see what works for you. Be able to get that one in for sure. So, looks like I got some space. These will melt in your crust. It's making this so good. Stringy. There's sometimes if you don't get your crust pulled all the way over the cheese and sealed, it will leak out. I had it leak out last week. Okay, now here's your next step. You're gonna grab your crust and you're just kind of pull it up, and then you're gonna pinch it down. Wow, that's not really wanting to stay. Okay. Can you see it real good? Okay. Usually the crust sticks down really good. I don't know what's going on today. Maybe I got too much oil or too much flour and it's just too dry there. You want to kind of curl it on itself, like overlapping it, to give it that beautiful finish. But it also helps to seal that cheese in really good. Oops, I ripped it, so I'm just going to try to pinch it. Last week I tried to make like their garlic bread crust. That was pretty fun. Instead of the stuffed crust on a second pizza, I just stretched it out and I snipped all the way around with scissors, and then I kind of braided the ends there. And then after it cooked, I put in some garlic butter. So then I go around, because I can see like up here it didn't really seal, so I just kind of want to take my finger and press around it. We love cheese in our family. So now I've got some room around my pan, and so I will sometimes, I feel like I want to make it fit the whole pan, I just kind of push on the cheese so that my pizza will be the size of the pan instead of awkward small. And because you have that extra dough in the crust, it just slides out pretty easy. You don't have to push super hard. You don't want to crack the dough. Okay. And then I take my pasta spoon, because I want to perforate the inside of the crust. Just kind of imprinting it. And that will keep it from bubbling up. And then I'll take my garlic. Sometimes I put minced garlic on instead of powdered. And then I'm just gonna shake it around, get a good coverage. And then my Italian seasoning. All right, my oven has been on for probably about an hour waiting for this. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven for about 8 minutes. I'm gonna check on it. You want a light golden crust, but not super golden because it has to come back in the oven with its toppings. Okay, here's my regular crust. I'm not gonna put any cheese on it, and I wanted to show you how I kind of pinch the edges of the crust to make it look like a pizza crust. So I'm gonna use my thumb, and I'm gonna lay it on top of the pan, and I'm gonna take my fingers and just kind of push up. And I'm just gonna slowly roll it around.
My finger in front of the camera a little bit.
That's okay. That's funny. You can get really creative with your crusts. But I'm kind of running late on dinner tonight, so I'm just gonna rush through this and call it good. I'm almost done here. Okay. Take my pasta spoon. Poke, 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 poke. I always got my kids involved when they're home. I just kind of, they love helping me. They love cooking with me. And I love having them with me cooking. Alright, here we go. You know what? Okay, so the crust came out, and as you can see, I didn't get it sealed right, and it definitely leaked here. Last week, I didn't want to waste the cheese, so I just threw it on the on the crust, and nobody was bothered by that. So hopefully it'll work. Maybe I can stretch this out a little bit. All right. So I normally make my own marinara sauce from our garden, but because we've just recently moved, we didn't have a garden last year. So I'm using spaghetti sauce. And I get it at Walmart or wherever, whatever grocery store I can get to.
That one's a Winco.
Oh yes, Winco. We go there almost once a month because it's out of town. And the trick to a non-soggy crust in the middle is that you kind of run your spoon circularly in the middle to thin it out. You don't want a big clump of marinara in the center because all the juices kind of seem to fall down into it. So this one's going to be a supreme. And we are running low on pepperoni, so we'll just do what we can. I have plenty for this one, so that'll be okay. And the other one, we are making a Hawaiian because that's also a popular choice in our family. So the big debate on pizza, right? Everybody has to throw in their 2 cents. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Heck yeah! In our family, it's a heck yeah. Everybody loves pineapple on the pizza, which I'm grateful for because I love it. If someone didn't like the pineapple though, I would be nice and not add the pepperoni on. Or the pepperoni, pineapple, sorry. Working with pepperoni. Okay. Oh shoot, they're kind of frozen together. Okay, so I'm gonna put the pepperoni all the way around. And you want to take your ingredients that are the flattest and put those down first. the bulkier they are, you want to put those on last. And if you have a mixed cheese, that will be better. Cheddar, straight cheddar on the pizza is gonna give you a greasy pizza. So if you can get like 4 or 5 different flavors of, or different types of cheese on it, it's just gonna make your pizza even tastier. All right, so let's see, I think olives is gonna be my next choice. What are your favorite toppings? You guys do anchovies? I can't bring myself to do anchovies. I don't know what it is. I think it's the hair, and I know it gets cooked off, right? But I don't know. When I was a kid, I loved Godfather's Pizza because they had taco pizza. And that was like a refried bean with cheese, and then you cook that, and then you throw on your lettuce, tomato, and then your cheddar cheese. Let's check the other crust though. Might be. Next, I'm going to do the mushrooms. We prefer fresh mushrooms, but you know, sometimes you just got to do what you have on hand. And that is perfectly fine. Roll with the punches. He's looking like a cowboy. Got a mushroom down there. You know what? I'm just going to put the whole can. Might as well, right?
Perfect.
Extra mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
For us mushroom lovers. Okay.
It's a lot of mushroom.
And normally I would split that between 2 pizzas, but we have some kiddos that do not like mushroom. So basically this is a pizza that's for Brandon and I. One of our daughters likes to venture into the supreme that we make, but they kind of stick to the other. Sometimes I make 3 pizzas. Okay, those are really big chunks. Okay. And then we're going to take some of the pineapple and lightly dust it with some goodness. Because you got to have the sweet and the salty. Balance out your flavors. Okay. This one is ready for cheese. I'm going to wash my hands and I'll be right back. Okay. We're going to do the peppers. I bought a whole bunch of bell peppers from an Amish auction back in the Midwest when we lived there, and thinking that I would sell off some of them, and I didn't sell off any. So I was like, shoot, what am I gonna do with all these peppers? So I jarred them up, I processed them, and we've been eating them in soups and casseroles and pizzas.
Fajitas.
And fajitas, yeah, that's good too. Okay, I'm gonna top it off with cheese. Barely gonna have enough for this pizza. Oh, sure. Kind of light on the cheese. That's trash. This is Parmesan cheese that I bought in a brick. So we're gonna throw some of that on there for good flavor. Okay. And this one is ready to go in the oven. So let's see if I brought any room. No, it's kind of hot. Okay, here's the second pizza. We pulled it out a little earlier. Before it was golden brown. Getting that marinara up this top, but making sure it's not going to the edge so that fingers can hold the crust. I like to roast my vegetables to make marinara, so I'll take like a cookie sheet or a Pyrex, actually a Pyrex, or a deep dish pan, and I'll slice up my tomatoes and peppers, bell peppers, onions, and my garlic, cloves, and then I'll drizzle the olive oil, salt and pepper, and then my Italian seasonings. And then I'll roast it for like a half an hour. Blend it, put it in my jar, and process that. We go through a lot of marinara sauce. This one's Hawaiian, right? Yes. So, ham. We had ham for Easter, and we didn't eat the whole ham, so I diced it and froze it just so we could have it for pizzas. And they work great in omelets too. We do that. Breakfast burritos.
Potato soup.
Potato soup, yeah. Because the work is already done, right? We already spent the time slicing it. Sometimes for Hawaiian, if I've got like bacon bits, which, ooh, we've got in the fridge, I should go grab some of that. And throw it on the Hawaiian pizza. Grab that real quick. Okay, I'm just adding my, so it's real bacon pieces. I hope it's real. I'm gonna add a little extra flavor. It's like smoky bacon. There's my garbage. Grab my pineapple. Looks like I'll have to get a little bit more cut. That's okay. We had leftover pineapple rings from dinner last night, so just stuck it in the container and ready for pizzas. I'll be right back. Alright, just gonna add the rest of the pineapple. It's probably a lot, but we're just gonna not waste it. Okay, that looks good, right? No little holes.
Up here.
Okay, 1 second. Alright. Now, this is all we have left, is cheddar. Just for other recipes, but it's all you got. It's all you got. No problem. It's just not the best to be the single cheese on top of the pizza, but it gives a good flavor. For sure. Awesome flavor. And I did add some of this cheddar to the other pizza, just to add more cheese. All the spots on the fire. Alright, I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'll be back to slice up the stuffed crust pizza. When it's stuffed crust is done cooking, and so I'm going to show you my little trick to make the crust taste like garlic bread. I'm going to take my butter, and I'm just going to rub it all over, just the outer crust. Also helps to soften it up a little bit, especially if you've crunched it. Maybe a little overcookage. It smells so good. I'm starving. I cannot wait to eat. Okay, so I think that's good. Now I'm going to take my garlic powder, and I'm going to lightly dust the garlic over the crust. You probably can't even see it, but it's definitely coming out on it. Okay. And then we slice it. Hopefully this will be easier with the side the cheese came out of. Guys, it even leaked after the second time we were cooking it. Ooh, yeah, I hear that crunch. The crust is crunchy on the inside, outside, underside. It's the best. I'm gonna go a second time just to make sure. It's my dream someday to buy a pizza blade, and it's like this long. You just rock it. Super cool. I'm not sure where I would buy it from, but maybe some like chef store. I'm just gonna cut it into 8. pieces. Alright, there we go. It is going to be delicious. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this inspires you to make your own pizzas and get creative and maybe make it a tradition in your family. See you later.